The lens of the camera whirred softly as it captured the vast expanse of the Rocky Mountains. Sarah, the leader of our small paranormal investigation team, scanned the horizon with binoculars in hand, taking in the jagged peaks rising like sentinels against the afternoon sky. The wind stirred the pines around us, whispering secrets lost to time. We were here to film the latest episode for our series, Mysteries of North America, focusing on the tragic vanishing of young Alfred Beilhartz in 1938. Sifting through historical records had led us to this forbidden corridor of wilderness, guided by tales spoken in hushed tones and nervous glances. Gathered around the campfire that evening, Sarah recounted the tale to the camera with the fervor of a storyteller, well-versed in her craft. Alfred, a 5-year-old boy, vanished seemingly without a trace while on a hike with his family. Reports of a child being sighted on a precarious ledge, unreachable and perilous, only deepened the mystery. The lens zoomed in on old photographs, well worn with time, of the cherubic face of Alfred, his bright eyes staring back innocently from the past. "We're here to find out what really happened," Sarah declared, her face cast in firelight. We listened intently as the shadows of the wilderness danced around us. As the night deepened, the forest came alive with eerie calls and rustles. The fire crackled, sending sparks spiraling upwards into the heavens. I felt a twitch of unease curl through my spine. Something about the place seemed to pulse with an old, latent energy. It was as if the very earth beneath us brimmed with a story untold, waiting for us to step deeper into its folds, to uncover its secrets. I looked around at my teammates, each shadowed by anticipation, unaware of the chilling truths that lay ahead. The morning mist hung low around the campsite, a thick veil that clung to the trees and left droplets beaded on our tents. We all felt a touch on edge after the night's tailies and fitful rest. As we packed our gear, the forest seemed to hold its breath. Radio equipment crackled to life, broadcasting the unnerving whispers of static. We prepared to start our ascent to the higher trails, hoping to reach the location where Alfred was last sighted. Sarah led the way with a determined stride, her eyes scanning for any material evidence to connect the mortals with the phantoms of the past. Adam, our soundman, walked beside me, a recorder in one hand and shotgun mic in the other. Alan, the skeptic, trailed behind, muttering to himself about wild goose chases and the stupidity of spooking oneself in the wilderness. The trail was narrow, with rocks jutting out of the ground like bones under toughened skin. As we moved deeper into the forest, an unsettling silence descended. The absence of birdsong and rustling wildlife was almost palpable, as though the forest were hollow, a shell of its former vitality. Our footsteps fell in rhythmic crunches on the gravelly path, occasionally interjected by the distant echo of some unknown creature. I noticed Sarah pause, squinting at something further along the trail through her binoculars. The tension around us seemed to coil tighter, ready to unravel with the slightest prompt. We reached a clearing where the forest opened up to reveal a panoramic view of the mountains. The chill of the altitude nipped at our skin, and clouds loomed ominously in the distance. Sarah motioned for us to gather around the outcropping of boulders she was perched upon. "This is where the boy was last seen," she announced, pointing towards a distant ledge carved into the side of a towering rock formation. It seemed impossibly far, an isolated throne hovering just out of reach. We set up our equipment quickly. The breeze made the microphone sway slightly, picking up the ethereal hum that whispered through the foliage. I couldn't shake the feeling that we were being watched. Adam swept the area with a thermal imaging device, his eyes narrowing at any point of deviation. The cliff's edge dropped away sharply into a chasm below, a maw that seemed ready to swallow any who dared venture too close. Alan was fixing his camera onto the tripod when, out of the corner of his eye, he swore he saw something. We all turned, hearts pounding, towards the ledge where he gestured frantically. There, against the impossible incline, stood the discernible silhouette of a small child. We held our breath, disbelief giving way to an unspeakable dread. But in the blink of an eye, the figure was gone, vanished into the rocky ether like a mirage. Yet the oppressive aura remained, thicker now, almost tangible in the air around us. With adrenaline spiking in our veins, we scrambled to make sense of the sighting. Data fluttered onto Sarah's laptop as she reviewed the footage frame by frame. The childlike figure flickered on screen for a split second before evaporating, leaving only a confusing blur. This is starting to feel less like an investigation and more like waking a dream lodged in time, Adam murmured, visibly unsettled. Teary-eyed, Alan laid a map across the boulder, tracing finger patterns where eyewitness accounts had pinned their sightings through the decade. A web of mystery sprawled out across the paper that mirrored our own disheartened entanglement with the unknown. "How is it possible for something like this to even exist?" questioned Sarah, her voice barely audible over the impromptu choir of leaves rustling from a sudden gust. Suddenly, the wind carried a faint, musical laughter, a child's echo, clear as a whisper right by the ear, making our spines ripple with icy dread. Our instincts turned towards the ledge again, hoping, yet fearing to find another trace of the child. The sound diminished into the stillness, leaving us stranded in the vast wilderness, surrounded by its inexplicable mysteries. It felt as if the forest itself was granting us glimpses of its hidden truth, taunting us with what lay beyond understanding. Night descended with an unsettling haste, air heavy with the scent of impending rain. We took refuge under our gear's makeshift shelter, minds haunted by the earlier events. Adam lit a lantern, shadows shifting across our faces, making the world outside seem all the darker. "We won't accomplish much in the dark," said Sarah, resolving to continue in the morning. But sleep eluded us. The forest bristled with invisible eyes watching us. As the owls began their nocturnal choir, Adam rummaged through his bag and helped us unwind with a flask of whiskey passed around. Maybe it'll ward off whatever haunts this place, he grinned skeptically. Yet, in his eyes lingered a hint of belief none dared voice aloud, that the rocky landscape conspires with the supernatural to guard its secrets. The whistle of the midnight wind seeped through our camp like tendrils of chilling memory. In the back of my mind, the shadow of the ledge loomed over everything as if reaching out with purpose, clawing at our resolve. Was it a warning to turn back? The forest seemed resolute, locked in a rhythm of silence, interspersed only by the low hum of its spectral inhabitants, whispering secrets born on winds rife with history. Sunrise brought a golden light, painting the forest in hues of burnt amber. Yet, the brightness belied an underlying feeling of oppression, as if the forest mourned something long lost. We ate in silence, the events of the previous days hanging over us heavily. We broke camp, determined to decipher the woodland's covert language, hidden in the chirping of insects and the rustle of leaves. The trail wound snake-like through the trees, leading us to the foot of the steep incline where we hoped to access the ledge. The ascent was daunting, every step risking dislodging stones that tumbled noisily into the gorge that yawned beside us. Straining with every step, not all signs were welcoming, as gnarled roots seemed to reach out, ensnaring our feet with unspoken warnings. A fortress built against intrusion. Finally reaching the ledge, we were greeted by a scene frozen in time. Marks etched into the dusty rock, the small grooves and smudges of an unknown origin, mimicked the playful gesture of a child's hand. The sight left a stab of cold fascination looping through our minds, each of us wondering if we were standing upon the threshold of the spectacularly surreal. The landscape, though breathtaking in beauty, seemed to bear an ancient grudge, its silence a keening reminder of Alfred's fate. Unearthing artifacts, we discovered a faded piece of cloth, ragged and pitted, tangled amid thorns near the ledge's edge. Could it belong to Alfred? Adam's face reflected both dread and a faded hope. The forest seemed to close in around us as we stood there, its omnipresence pressing firmly into our consciousness, whispering fears stirred by the gentle wind. Sarah tucked the cloth safely into her bag as evidence, but amongst us rose a sensation more electric than discovery. We all felt it, a thickening of the air, adrift with echoes and energies not of our era. The weathered trees swayed in agreement with an unsettling rhythm, serenading us with a dirge older than civilized memory. The sound transported us deeper into the overarching narrative, past decades of curious disappearances. Underneath the tree canopy's shroud, a sudden sharp crack echoed. We flinched, nerves stretched thin, and turned towards the sound only to witness the forest flex and retreat along the threshold of comprehension. Some indiscernible An invisible boundary had just been breached, the veil between known and unknown grown frail and porous. Our endeavor had tapped into something raw and sentient. It was clear we were no longer alone in the verdant wilderness. Dark clouds gathered as we tarried beneath the foreboding canopy of trees, drawn deeper into the labyrinthine path that unfurled like the vein of ancient roots. We pursued the threads of untruths, legends woven into the fabric of local lore, stories of children spirited away by woodland specters. Overhead, the timber groaned like a warning knell, creaking under invisible pressure. "We must leave soon," Alan cautioned, his stern words laced with not so much skepticism as observant realism facing the encroaching tempest. Yet Sarah pushed on, driven by a force that was as compelling as it was compulsive, a spark of discovery that alighted the mind like firelight amidst shadows. The sky darkened, the impending storm wrapped us in tempestuous embrace, its breath echoing through the trees with a primal rage longing for recognition. It was then that we stumbled onto the clearing at the heart of the forest, a malevolent aura imposing, leaving us breathless with nameless dread. This was a sacred unknown, a tethered point where stories of the vanished mingled with whispers of wilderness untamed. As the storm loomed closer, a peculiar stillness fell over the clearing. The air became electric, almost vibrating with a heavy resonance that wormed through our ears and into the hollows of our bones. Around us, forest shadows bent fluidly, merging into shapes, whispering the stories of lost souls, of children's laughter spirited away long ago and echoing still. We huddled together, minds racing, each of us compelled to understand the unseen canvas upon which these ghostly images played out. The forest imposed silence as an entity aware, observing us, its history kept alive by every rustle of foliage and wayward gust of wind. Lightning splintered the sky, casting stark silhouettes against the tumult of weathered skies. Suddenly, the face of the vanished boy appeared among the trees, a fleeting vision that snapped and vanished as quickly as it had come. An urge to flee thrummed through us, but tethered by curiosity and the weight of unraveling legend, we remained rooted, a humble audience to the ancient forest's wordless narration. Night unfurled its cloak over the clearing, the melancholy luminescence of the moon shedding wavering pools of silver across the landscape. We built a hesitant camp, the air dense with each inhalation, as if the forest held breath alongside us. Colors drained into monochrome under the specter of midnight's watchful eye. Adam took first watch, his eyes scanning the horizon of dense black that stretched and shifted with each flicker of the night's depths. Weary but vigilant, he stood guard as the boundaries between consciousness and sleep blurred, haunted by visions of ghostly apparitions pirouetting through dreams and reality. Then the crimson glow of the campfire dimmed, swallowed by an encroaching, unnatural darkness. From the depths of the forest, soft laughter arose, a taunting serenade that both beckoned and quelled the core of courage. When the laughter subsided into stillness, the silence was absolute, forcing us to confront the haunting truths breathed by the wind into our tent, reminding us eternally that we were just visitors to the wild expanse, enshrouding a mystery left unsolved.